up, Pizzaholics? Today is a special day because I'm at Johnny's. Johnny's Pizza since 1942. Boy, oh boy, they said a half-hour wait, and they weren't kidding, guys. I got here at 12 o'clock, a half hour before they open. They open at 12:30. I expected a line. There was. As soon as I got here, the car started pouring into the parking lot. This parking lot is full. And so I was like, good, I got here. You know, it was good to get here a half hour early. But nevertheless, I still had to wait a half hour. Apparently, people call in ahead of time. And this place is busy. There are people pouring into this place. I'm in there a half hour waiting for my pie. I watched them make at least, no joke, guys, at least 50 to 60 pies in just a half hour. Thin crust pizza. Johnny's, 1942, family owned and operated. Let's take the tape off the box. Got the large pie. All right, let's get this thing open. It looks really nice. It looks as if they put the sauce on top of the cheese. I've watched them make the pies. They do put the sauce on top of the cheese. And, oh, this looks thin. Let's grab one, man. Let's grab one. I got the half pepperoni. We're going to go here with the, ooh, this thing is hot. This thing is hot. We're going to go with the plain as always. This looks like a nice one. This looks like a nice one. Thin, guys, thin. Airy. Oh, look at that. Now that's what I want to hear when I fold a pizza. And this is what I want to see when I fold a pizza, ladies and gentlemen. No flop. Look at that undercarriage. Gas oven pizza. Let's go. It's hot. I don't care. That's what I expected when I took a bite. That's what I expected to hear. You gotta really feel this thing. It's so... Oh, the crust is reminiscent of the Farah. Because it's thin, but it's also airy. You hear that? All you gotta do is squeeze this thing slightly. Ah, oh. Moist in the pants, guys. Little oily, There's some oil trickling. Whenever I leave New York City, man, Brooklyn, Manhattan, Staten Island, Queens, whenever I leave and start to go to other places, that's when I encounter greasy cheese. Hey, inspection, closer look, analysis. Let's start with that crust. All right, one of the best thin crusts I've ever had. Probably top 5. This crust here, guys, is one of the best I've ever had because it's like a croissant. It doesn't crack when you fold it. It's thin and it doesn't crack when you fold it. It's got some air to it. You know, it's airy. Look at all those blisters. Nice and charred, well done, and crunchy. The sauce dries out towards the end. It gets a little dry. There's very little sauce on this pizza. Towards the back end. Towards the middle, you're okay. But for some reason, it dries out once you get to your last couple bites at the end of the slice, which was a little disappointing. The cheese, low moisture cheese, nice char marks, well done, but a bit oily. A little oily. The cheese didn't have that funky tang. It wasn't a real nutty mozzarella. It wasn't really the most amazing low moisture mozzarella I've ever had. Guys, I've tasted a lot of pizza, okay? I know what good cheese is. This wasn't bad, but it wasn't the greatest either. This is a pizza that has a superb crust, an amazing crust, but could use a little more work in other departments. Just take a look at the airiness to this thing. Look at that. Woo! Johnny's, baby! Since 1942, Come over here and get this thing. It's a pizza you definitely drive an hour for. Pizza gets cold, we give it another fold. I'm expecting this thing to be as stiff as it was upon first glance. Look at that. And I guarantee you the next day, this pizza is going to be just as crunchy on the reheat. This is a next day pizza that's going to taste just like the first day. Excellent crust. They definitely take time to perfect their crusts and their dough products. Absolutely. I just think it was a little on the dry side. That's the thing with thin crust pizzas. Yeah, they want them thin, crispy, and light, but sometimes they skimp out on sauce. This pie needed more sauce. And the cheese wasn't the best I've had, and there wasn't any grated Parmesan on it. The sauce was kind of just a raw sauce, and if you're gonna do raw sauce, you got to make sure the tomatoes are naturally sweet, and that wasn't the case here. I didn't get any of that sweet tomato that I get like when I have a pie from Ruby Rosa in Manhattan. Go to Ruby Rosa if you want some really good tomato sauce. It wasn't bad. It wasn't sour tomato. It wasn't like a sour sauce or anything like that. It didn't really hit me. It didn't hit on any note. Johnny's in Mount Vernon gets an 8-1 out of 10. 8-1. It's still a pizza. Despite being a little disappointed, the guy from Boston, old Davey Portnoy, the guy from Boston gave it a 9-1. And he puts crisp over everything. He puts all his stock into the crisp factor. I don't. I look at the elements. This pizza was missing elements. It was missing elements, straight up. It didn't have the element of hard cheese. It didn't have any basil. It didn't have any spices. The sauce wasn't. The sauce was raw, but it wasn't sweet like it's supposed to be, like on the authentic Napolitanas. Just like on the authentic Napolitanas. And it wasn't simmered or spiced or garlicky or anything like that. It was missing the components of both styles, both sauce styles. Cheese lacking the hard grated cheese. It wasn't sharp enough. There wasn't a contrasting element of creamy and sharp, which is what I look for in a pizza like the Farah. You want creamy mozzarella, maybe some bufala, maybe a 3 cheese like Scars, like the Sicilian Scars, a little hard cheese. The flavors contrast. You get sharp, creamy. Didn't have that, so it was a little one-dimensional. But what it did have was one of the best crusts I've ever had in my life. And for that, it gets an 8-1. Totally worth the trip from Staten Island. Totally worth the 1-hour trip from Staten Island. Be well, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. I had fun with this one. Little donate tab on my cover photo on my YouTube page in the right hand corner. If you want to throw a couple quarters at me, hey, goes right into the gas tank. It gets me to those places that you guys always recommend to me. So be well. Keep those bellies full, preferably with some good ass pizza. Until next time, this is Antonio signing off.